You're saying Israel is starving the hostages?
I'm saying, yes, yeah. When you block humanitarian aid for 3 months, where do you think they're going to get the food from?
Max, Israel
What a joke.
And Hamas.
Yes, internal documents which indicate that 83% of people killed there
you know for a fact
that
there weren't any terrorists.
I'm not going to sit here and regurgitate the lies from the Israeli
So
government
we've had-
as they're conducting a genocide.
So we've had
Anna,
four,
even
we've had,
if there were,
you're saying you're going to leave them in place.
The only way, Scott, the only
I'm
way...
saying what?
Are you saying that you said we have to have a deal with Hamas? You're anticipating that we leave them in place.
Scott, did I say anything of the sort?
Yes, you just said we have to have a deal with Hamas.
No.
They keep, talking about possible
ceasefire.
Why don't they just release? Can you answer one simple question?
They want to release the hostages.
All of them?
Yes.
How many?
They accepted a
you're
ceasefire.
lying. They said maybe 10.
Give us a 60-day pause in this war. We will return every single
why haven't
hostage.
they released them
Israel
until now?
stands in the way every single
there's no answer to
time.
this.
Max,
Why are they holding the
What is your
hostages?
view about this? Because this is a talking point that comes up a lot.
Tell me, not a single person has said the word hostage yet. There's still 50 hostages.
Right. Well, Israel doesn't care about that.
Let's
not lie about that
Just to be
either.
clear, I said,
Hamas has not
are you going to
released
answer
them.
her question, though?
I don't
He's
know.
not.
I don't
He's
work
not
for the
gonna
Israeli
answer.
government. All I really care about...
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. You could see it in Scott Jennings' face. He was completely embarrassed. It really looked to me like he either lacked the information or he could have just been lying straight through his teeth. It's hard to tell sometimes. Let's get into this and we'll talk about it.
Tonight, outrage grows as Israel's actions push it to the brink of isolation. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis took to the streets today, demanding a hostage deal and a ceasefire with Gaza in a nationwide show of force. Now, the protests come after back-to-back Israeli strikes on Gaza's largest remaining hospital that killed at least 20 people on Monday. Among them, 5 Palestinian journalists who worked for various outlets, including the Associated Press and Reuters. Now, the Israeli military claimed, without providing evidence, that the double-tap strike, as it's called, was aimed at what it believed was a camera positioned by Hamas to observe IDF activity. A security source told CNN that none of the journalists killed on Monday were targets. Meanwhile, the Palestinian people's suffering is deepening. Famine is declared for the first time in Gaza. Joining us in our 5th seat at the table is Max Boot. He's a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations and a Washington Post columnist. And Max, this is just a continuation of almost a snowball effect as the war has been being carried out, I think, like this for some time now. But the combination of the targeting of journalists and also the backlash inside Israel and outside of Israel is starting to worry a lot of people who are pro-Israel, by the way.
Yeah, including me. I mean, I'm a strong supporter of Israel, but I'm very concerned about what I'm seeing that the Netanyahu government is doing in Gaza, because if you listen to what the IDF, the Israeli generals themselves said about a year ago, was they had concluded their military objectives in Gaza. Hamas was no longer a threat to Israel, and so they were basically saying there was not much more that the Israeli military could do in Gaza, and yet the offensive continues because for Netanyahu to turn off the war would be very politically perilous, because he is really at the mercy of the far-right parties in his own coalition, and so he keeps on fighting even though the cost is growing, not just to Palestinians, but also to Israelis, because remember, there are a lot of Israeli soldiers who are on the front lines as well. So to my mind, this is a terrible tragedy, not only primarily, of course, humanitarian tragedy for the people of Gaza, but it's really a long-term tragedy for the state of Israel. I was just looking at a poll that showed, Gallup showed that only 30% of Americans now support the war that Israel is waging in Gaza. This is going to cause an entire generation of Americans and countries around the world to turn against the Jewish state. And as somebody, again, who supports the Jewish state and stands with the Israelis who are out there protesting against the war, what Netanyahu is doing is horribly destructive, not only for Gaza, but also for Israel.
I would agree with that. And, I don't believe for a second that those journalists were not targeted. I think journalists are being targeted in Gaza. They're not allowing international journalists to report on the ground to enter the Gaza Strip, unless, of course, they're being accompanied by IDF soldiers. And hundreds of journalists have been slaughtered in Gaza. Every single time it happens, Netanyahu comes out and says, oh, it was a mishap. And the United States just forgets about it and moves on, continues providing more bombs. Thank you for saying what you're saying, because you are correct that people are losing their support for Israel over the conduct of, I don't consider this a war at all. I do consider it a genocide. When you have humanitarian aid workers being slaughtered, when you have every single hospital bombed, when you have the entire Gaza Strip leveled, that's not a war. A war, if you do targeted strikes and you go after the combatants. 729 magazine, an Israeli publication, obtained IDF documents showing, their data shows that 83% of the people slaughtered in Gaza are civilians, 83%. Let me say it again, 83%. How are you going to call that a war against Hamas?
This latest attack.
Scott Jennings is just, he's really soulless. 83%, more than 8 in 10 people. How can any human justify this in their head? It's really, truthfully, hard for me to comprehend some of these people's heart. Is it really just AIPAC money? Is it the scriptures garbage? To support the slaughtering of a massive amount of people. There's an estimated now nearly 20,000 children killed. Children. Fuck. It literally makes me nauseous to hear that. And I hate to say this, and I said something along the line before, but if there is a God or gods, where the F are they? What are they so effing busy doing? Eating grapes? Being fed fruit by other deities? Is something more important than this? And I don't follow any religion. I'm not religious. But I only say this, and I know this will anger some, but I only say this because that's an answer for so many of these issues. God will punish them. And what I would say to that is, are you sure about that? Is there something more important than this? If there was a God, he is no longer here. They've given up.
That killed the 5 journalists. The story is that there was a camera that was operated by Hamas. I'm going to play what Barak Ravid, who's perhaps one of the best sourced reporters in both the United States and Israel on this story. This is what he said last night about that story.
At least from what I hear from some Israeli officials, there are serious questions about this version. And it is not at all clear that this was indeed an approved target. Whether it was a Hamas reconnaissance outpost in the hospital or not, there's been a lot of arguments between the general staff in the IDF headquarters and the Southern Command regarding targeting.
So Israeli officials said that the journalists were not the targets, but they were in fact killed. They also said that there were terrorists who were in the group of 20 that were killed. Mm-hmm. But this is the type of thing that has caused the world to ask very serious questions about how they are conducting this war. That they would, if you take this story at face value, bomb a camera, kill 20 people as collateral, and then say, as Netanyahu said in a statement today, that this was a tragic mishap.
Yeah, I think they said also 6 terrorists were killed in the attack.
Total BS.
We've heard, how do you know?
I know it's BS because of the IDF's internal documents, which indicate that 83% of the people killed there happen to be civilians.
That there weren't any terrorists?
I'm not going to sit here and regurgitate the lies from the Israeli government as they're conducting a genocide.
So we've had
Anna, even if there were 6 terrorists killed in the strike, there were 20 people killed total. So there were a lot of people who were killed who, according to Israel, were not terrorists. 5 of those people were journalists. The second strike occurred when there were aid workers coming to assist people who had been caught up in the strike. That's what I'm talking about. I can't litigate the terrorists or not, but even based on their version of it, that is what I think is causing a lot of concern.
Sure, look, it's a war. Tragic things happen. People that you hope would not be killed get killed, and you in an active war zone. It happens in every active war zone for all of human history. I would note we've had 4 people talk and tell me, and not a single person has said the word hostage yet. There's still 50 hostages.
Right. Well,
Israel doesn't care
about the hostages. Let's not lie about that
Just to be clear, I said hostages because I was talking about the hundreds of Israelis who were in the streets today demanding a hostage deal from Netanyahu
and guess what?
Demanding that this war end immediately.
And the deal has to be executed by the people who took the hostages, Hamas. They're the ones holding them. They're the ones who have been holding them since October the 7th. Mm-hmm. They keep, talking about
accepted the
possible
ceasefire.
incremental. Why don't they just
Israel-
release? Can you answer one simple question?
They want to release the hostages.
All of them?
Yes.
How many?
They accepted
No, you're
a
lying.
ceasefire.
They said maybe
they
10.
want give us a 60-day pause in this
Why
war.
haven't-
We
why
will
didn't-
return every single
why
hostage.
haven't they released them until
Israel
now?
stands in the way every single
there's no answer to
time.
this.
Max,
Every
Why are
single
they
time.
holding
What is
the
your
hostages?
view about this? Because this is a talking point that comes up a lot.
It's not a talking point.
No,
There are 50 lives down
Hold on
there.
a second,
It is
Scott.
definitely a
What I'm-
talking point.
hold on a
When you
second.
block
If you wanna-
humanitarian
if you
into the
wanna-
Gaza Strip for
They're
3
not
months
blocking
straight,
any.
it not only impacts the Palestinians, which I know you couldn't care less about, but it also obviously is going to impact the hostages. They're going to starve to death as well.
You're
Hamas
saying Israel
is-
is starving the hostages?
I'm saying, yes, yeah. When you block humanitarian aid for
Just give
3
me 1
months,
second.
where do you think they're going to get
Max-
the food from?
Max, Israel
What a joke.
and Hamas have been circling around a lot of different.
Oof, that was brutal. He is a joke. And like he didn't even refute when she said, "We know you don't care about the Palestinians." He didn't even refute that. You can tell either he was embarrassed or cornered. He didn't know Hamas wanted to make a deal. I don't know. Maybe he's lying. He got shocked that he got called out. I don't know. And I was looking into this before making this video. Good job, United States and Israel. You're doing very well. Clearly, $18 billion were spent in just 1 year. I don't know about this most recent year. It's been estimated 17,000 Hamas members have been killed since October 7th. Do you want to know something? Incredible. It's estimated that 15,000 have been newly recruited since October 7th. Oh, I wonder how that happened. The Israeli government, the U.S. government knows this. They just don't care because the goal isn't to wipe out Hamas, but to wipe them all out. Innocent Palestinians included. 83% of the people being killed are innocent civilians? How can people say they're a staunch supporter of Israel and support Israel and not see this? You're creating terrorists by the effing day.
different hostage deals, ceasefire deals. They haven't happened for a number of different reasons. And with the caveat, as we have said numerous times, Hamas is a homicidal terrorist organization that should never have hostages in the first place. But what is stopping a deal from actually happening to get these last hostages out? Because many Israelis think that the Netanyahu government is not doing enough to take a deal and get them out.
You know, I think that is ultimately the stumbling block, not making any excuses for Hamas, which is this evil, genocidal terrorist organization, but they have indicated a willingness to do a deal to release some of the hostages. There was a deal that was done earlier in the year that released a bunch of hostages. Most Israelis want to do that deal because most Israelis are convinced the only way the 20 remaining hostages who are still alive are going to come home is with a deal. But Netanyahu insists on military action, which most Israelis see as endangering the lives of the hostages. And what Netanyahu is saying, he will keep on fighting until Hamas ceases to exist. Well, Hamas is not going to give up. And so basically, that is consigning Israeli troops to perpetual war in Gaza with no end game in sight. And Netanyahu refuses to make a deal with Hamas. He refuses to allow the Palestinian Authority to come into Gaza to try to have some Palestinian governance, which is more responsible and law-abiding than what they've seen in recent years. So it's a disaster. There's plenty of blame to go around on both sides. But right now, I think there's a general sense in Israel that Netanyahu simply does not want to do the deal.
You said end game. What is the Hamas end game? What is their stated goal?
Well, they want to stay. They want to remain as an organization.
No.
a
What's their
militant
stated goal as it
organization.
relates to the Jews in Israel?
They want to destroy the state of Israel. There's no question about it. But they're not in a position to do that anymore because the IDF has rendered them no longer a credible military
What's their
threat
stated
to
goal as it
Israel.
relates to Jewish people?
They want to exterminate Jews, but so what,
I
Scott?
don't think that that's it.
That doesn't
I don't think that's a
justify what
dispute.
Israel is doing in
I think
Gaza.
the point that he's making.
You're acting like
is-
we're dealing with rational actors.
No,
We're not. There may
no.
not be a deal to be done with rational
I-
actors.
Can we
That's
talk
all I'm
about
saying.
I'm not acting
Netanyahu's
like
stated
I'm
goal?
not acting
Let's
like
talk about
anything
Netanyahu's
at
stated
all.
goal.
But the
Yes.
question on the table for the entire globe is what is it going to take to A, bring those hostages home and end the killing and the suffering of the Palestinian people? And at the end of the day, it has to be a deal between Hamas and the Israeli government. And Hamas is a horrible entity, but it has to be a deal
But
with
you're
them.
saying you're going to leave them intact.
And there will be a deal with them.
No, the only-
You're
But-
saying you're going to leave them
No,
in place.
the only way, Scott, the only
I'm
way...
saying what?
Are you
Scott?
saying that you said we have to have a deal with Hamas? You're anticipating that
Scott,
we leave them in place.
Scott, did I say anything of the sort?
Yes, you just said we have to have a deal with Hamas.
No. I did not say anything of the sort. In order to get the hostages out, Go ask President Trump. He has been trying to broker a deal between Hamas and Israel. None of that is new. None of that is novel. None of that is even a
The only
political
Scott, can I ask
statement.
you a
It's just a
question?
fact.
Why is
absolutely
Israel
agree.
annexing the West Bank right now? Why is Israel annexing the West Bank? Which, of course, is not governed by Hamas at all. Why are Israeli settlers allowed to just run Palestinians out of their legal homes, build thousands of illegal settlements? West Bank has nothing to do with Hamas. Why is Israel annexing it? Why did Netanyahu say that his stated goal in an interview with I-24 News, an Israeli publication, say that he has a religious need to pursue the greater Israel
I'm going to let
project?
Scott answer quickly, and then we've got to go. Go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Scott.
My view is this. The hostages have been there for almost 700 days. There's a reason that Hamas has not
Are you
released
going to answer
them.
her question, though?
I don't
He's
know.
not.
I don't
He's not
work for the
gonna
Israeli
answer.
government. All I really
Well,
care about is that the hostages
okay.
come home. And I have no belief that Hamas, that took the hostages, that murdered all these people, are ever going to let
All
them
right.
go unless they're totally eradicated.
We do have
Except
to leave
they
it
have
there.
let them
Max
go
Booth,
during
thank you
ceasefires.
very much for.
He said, all I care is about the hostages. How about the children? The starving children, the innocent lives, 83%, Scott. Like, what is wrong with these people? These are supposed to be conservatives. God, all about God. Are these people not God's children in your eyes? This is why I get sick of this. I'm not going to say anything too far there. But, guys, I said this before. Your entire neighborhood, childhood friends, everything you've known, flattened, disintegrated. Your family starved to death, slaughtered. What do you think that does to someone's psyche? We are all animals at the end of the day. Some more than others, I'll admit. But what I mean is that when all else fails, we will fight, bite, kick, anything necessary. I don't want to hear 5 years from now why Hamas has grown and grown. I can guarantee you other people that are not even in the region are being radicalized into becoming terrorists. This happened with ISIS. We've seen this over and over. Someone very intelligent is going to use the world's empathy for the Palestinians to recruit more terrorists. 100%. It's already happening. And I don't know. I just don't get how you can stand on the side of Israel and say you're supportive of Israel and not see how you're shooting yourself in the own foot. How you're shooting the Israelis and the Jewish people. You're not helping them by saying, hey, let's get rid of everyone there. Let's slaughter everyone. That will not be forgotten. Guys, there's still countries around the world that don't like German tourists because of what happened in World War II and the Nazis. And another thing, again, with I'm a staunch supporter of Israel. Guess what? I'm tired of hearing that. I'm a supporter of all people. All the damn people. No exception. No exception whatsoever. Just because you are from this country or that country, you will not get less empathy or respect from me. I stand on the side of all people, no matter what color, religion, whatever the F you are. You could be blue and pray to the trees. I got your back. I'm tired of hearing that. I stand on the side of Israel. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. It really helps the channel, really helps spread the message out there. And I'll catch you on the next one.